Easy to say, impossible to take back. It's easy to say something and it's impossible to take something back. Be mindful about what you say. We're going to talk about it in two ways. Be mindful about what you say about yourself and what you say about others. Hey everyone, Party of One podcast. If you're new, hey. If you're not, welcome back. Let's just dive into the video. Mind you, I will never make content just to have minutes and hours of it. I'm going to say what I need to say. Hopefully pray that it hits the right people so that they can start becoming the best versions of themselves. And then continue just talking about life the way it happens and kind of adding my perspective into it. So let's jump into the video. Be mindful about what you say about yourself, because essentially that's who you're becoming. If you keep saying, I will never be this, I can never do that, essentially you never will. I talked about this in a previous video before, but I really want to highlight, especially going into the new year. A lot of people have a lot of New Year's resolutions, or they just decided that this is the year for them, whatever that means. However, even if you jokingly say, I'm not, or I'm never, or something negative to your friends, to yourself, to your family, maybe that's just how you joke around with your boyfriend or your girlfriend, whatever, you are speaking life to that statement. And you don't even know subconsciously how that's hurting you. Everyone has the potential to be someone great, but it's themselves that put themselves back. The world has its own set of problems. The world has its own challenges that we will just inevitably go through because that's life. But why add on to what life is already going to give us to challenge, test, and grow us by adding on statements that are negative to our self-growth? And sometimes we don't even know we're doing it. I used to do it. I mean, when I say I used to negatively speak down on myself, just in joke format, I'm a goofy person. When I'm around like my friends and my family, I am just a ball of energy. I used to say, you know what, that's my 13th reason. Or like, you know what, sleeping in traffic tonight. Or, oh, I could never. Why? And sometimes I know it's just a joke, but I think the more that I started becoming more self-conscious about my self-growth journey, I realized that everything that comes out of your mouth comes to life. I just didn't think about how serious that was. And I know sometimes we just want to joke and have fun, but I try to be really cognizant about what I say about myself, because if essentially I'm joking around and that just becomes my normal response, if I know that I'm always going to be joking around with my friends or my family, I'm going to start believing that, because the brain doesn't know the difference sometimes between a joke or not. It just knows you're speaking it. It's doing something in the back of your mind subconsciously to make you think that you can't be where you need to be, or that you can't become someone that you really want to become. Being mindful about what you say about others. And the others part is very tricky because you have so many aspects of that coming at you. Being mindful about what you say about others, one, speaks to your character. So it does something to yourself. Like, even if you're just joking, or, you know, like, oh my gosh, like, what does she have on? Like, you know, stuff that is not healthy. Essentially, that is not a healthy way to think. You know, the decisions people make with their lives has nothing to do with us. And I say that in a more minimalistic state. Like, when it affects a general public, like, that's a different story. But if you're just saying something to be rude, or just saying something to your friends because it's a joke about someone else, that speaks more to your character than the joke itself for a couple seconds. The other aspect of that is it speaks to how others see you. So on the opposite end of that, although your friends may be joking with you, or your family may be joking with you, they may not view it as much of a joke. It may have been funny. They may have chuckled, but in the back of their mind, they could think, if they can easily say that about someone else, I can't even imagine what they would say if I wasn't in the room. So you do have to think about the important people in your life. Although you want to joke around, or you want to do things, and you want to be the funny man or the funny girl, try to be funny in different ways that don't hurt others. I had to grow up learning that, in a sense of joking around with like my friend group. It wasn't intentionally bullying or intentionally being mean. Like, we would just roast each other. And I think when you get older, it starts to matter a little bit more, because you care more about how you present yourself to the world, the legacy that you want to leave, and just the intentionality behind yourself and who you want to show up as. And I think for me, since that's where I'm at on my journey, it matters a little bit more than it probably would to someone in college that's just kind of like kicking it with their boys or just hanging out with the girls, you know? So this message will matter to only a select group of people right now, and that's totally fine. It'll hit differently for someone 4 years from now when they find this video on YouTube. The purpose for me right now is to just get the video out so that it reaches the intended audience it's supposed to reach. I don't ever think anything is coincidental. I think everything happens at the time that it's supposed to. And honestly, I had no idea this direction of this video was going this way, but this is where we landed on. I had a completely different thought process behind being mindful about what you say. But I think someone out here needs to hear that you can still be the comedian of the group without downing on other people and without downing on yourself, more importantly. Because essentially, too, how you treat yourself is how you treat others. Because you think, well, I'm just doing it to myself and I know I'm joking, but others may not understand it or see it that way, even if it may seem like that in the moment, so that they don't seem like they're butthurt about a joke that you said that really cut them deep. My mom always tells me that you can't take anything back. Anything that you say cannot be taken back. How you make a person feel, that's what they're left with. People are only left with memories and emotions. And so it's important to just be really aware how you leave people every day. And sometimes through relationships and friendships. I think it just becomes more important as you get older because you just realize the value of people. And specifically for me, as a part of my purpose in serving others, I never want to make people feel like, dang, she made me feel some kind of way. And sometimes I will unintentionally do it because I'm human, as will you. But the minute that you recognize it and know that you're actively working towards not making anyone feel like that as best as possible, you're doing the best you can. And mind you, there are going to be people in the world that they're a victim to everything. And that's just something they have to deal with on their own. So don't take everything as if it was your fault, especially if you know a person's character and you know kind of how they act. The only way that you can control it is how you react. But overall, just being mindful about being a great person, being mindful about the kind of person that you want to look in the mirror and say, I'm really proud of you. Like being able to wake up every day and just genuinely love the kind of person you're becoming. Because mind you, even though we're working towards the person that we want to become, we will never really reach them. We'll always be working towards a new version of ourselves, but we'll start to notice different things in our lives, different ways that we react to people, different ways that we respond to different situations that maybe we wouldn't have prior to in the past. And so it's just one, being kind with yourself, but also being intentional and being aware about when you're doing these things. And the more that you take accountability for yourself and your actions, the easier it'll be when you actually start becoming the person that you want to become. And the great news is that attracts your tribe. Your vibe attracts your tribe. So if you're spewing out negativity, if you're spewing out jokes, if you're trying to be a bully just to be funny, essentially you will get that. And you'll wonder, why does it feel like my life is so chaotic? Everything around me just seems like it's just so blah and negative, and what is going on? But if you start thinking if you start speaking less, listening more, and moving a little bit differently in a form of love, watch and see how different life gets. Today's a little bit of a shorter video, but I just wanted to kind of hop on here and say that. It was what was on my heart. It's what came to mind. It's what came out my mouth. So I hope that this message reached you positively. I hope it helps you kind of take a second to stop and think about how you have been showing up for people in their lives, and also how you've been showing up for yourself in your own life. And I think when you can dig deep first on you, you can start seeing it through others. We can't work from the outside in. You have to work from the inside out. And just do the work. Do the work. Know that it takes time. And don't be hard on yourself. I have been telling myself, when people are like, oh, well, what you been up to? I naturally always somehow fit the response in of, I'm just working on being kinder to myself. Because it's really me versus me. Other people's opinions don't really affect me as it would maybe other people. Like maybe peer pressure is just at the top of the list for someone. It's way at the bottom for me, which is why like doing content creation, being in front of a camera, just doing things in front of a public audience doesn't really petrify me. because I know that I'm just doing my best. But me to me, even though I'm just doing my best, I would sometimes get in my head and be like, could have did better. You should have did better right here, or when you said that, or when you arrived there. And I realized I did the best I could, and the way that happened was the way it was supposed to happen, and I can only learn from my mistakes. So all in all, be mindful about what you say to yourself and to others. Do the work, and know that in due time, you'll start seeing different responses to life. Also, quick announcement. If you haven't heard, Party of One podcast is officially on Apple Podcast. It's going to be episodes weekly, along with YouTube videos when I can, but TikTok videos as daily as possible. So TikTok and Apple Podcast, you can definitely count on new content there. YouTube, it takes me a little bit longer, but I like being on the YouTube platform, and we are so close to 1,000 subscribers. And if you guys are following me on TikTok, you know that I said when we hit 1,000, I'm going to be doing a giveaway. So tell your friends. I want as many people to hear and to be a part of their own self-improvement and self-awareness journey. And if that means listening to some of my content and hearing the wisdom that God instills in me every day, by all means. I'm just doing the best that I can. Remember, I am not the end all be all. Do your own research and just be open to life. But I'm just really excited about where the podcast is going. I have no expectations for it, except for to help at least one person. And I think that helps keep things in perspective for me, and it doesn't put a lot on my back. But nonetheless, I am grateful again that you guys decide to spend even a little bit of your day with me. And I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.